Hi, so this is an example network design. So right now, as you can see, we have three subnets for the LAN, which is the first one is the production network, and then the back office network, and then we have the servers LAN. So right now the details are here. I've written it down here. So the back office network is under OSPF area 201 VLAN 20 subnet 10.0.2.0/24, good for 200 users. Then the other one is the production network. So we have OSPF area 101 VLAN 10 network 10.0.0/23, good for 400 users. Okay, so I've configured the other side. I just don't have to turn those all on because it's gonna eat up all my memory on my laptop. So right now we'll just try to configure the left side. However, as you can see here, I've configured HSRP also on the core switches here facing the firewall. So if we're gonna try to configure and take a look at it. So show standby. Okay, so there we have it. This device is the active device. Okay, so I've also configured Dhcp on this one. So okay, so as we can see, I configured Dhcp so that these computers on this side on the OSPF area 201 and 101 will have IP addresses. So right now I only have one virtual machine here for testing, and then the other one is just a simple virtual PC. Okay, okay, let's try to reacquire the IP address. Okay, so the IP is DHCP 10.0.0.4/23 gateway.1, which is configured on the multi-layer switch 1. Okay, and then we're gonna have to save this. Okay, and then let's show the other PC that we have is a Windows 7 desktop. And then the IP address that we have acquired is 10.0.0.3. Gateway is .1, also belongs to VLAN 10. Okay. Okay, so let's try to configure the router first. So we just have to make this a little bit faster because we don't want to make this video too long. Okay, so let's try to configure. Let's try to ping an outside address. Okay, so the ping is dying, so it never gets out. So we have to define the interfaces first of the router, and then the default route outside the internet. So let's show the interfaces and then try to configure. Interface. Let's try to configure the outside interface. So 192.168.5. Interface /1/0. So IP address 192.168.137.2 255.255.255.0. This is the internet facing interface. So let's try to configure our inside interface facing the firewall. Interface IP address 10.0.4.1/30 255.255.252. Good for two IP addresses between links. Okay. Okay, let's set the default. Let's try to ping the outside interface, outside IP address. Okay, it's still not pinging, so we'll have to define the default route. Exit IP route any to any to 192.168.137.1, and then let's define a DNS server. However, we don't have a DNS server on our topology right now, so let's try to configure a public DNS server. Okay, you can configure an 8.8.8 or a 4.2.2. Okay, so IP name server 4.2.2.2. Okay, and then IP domain lookup. Okay, just to look up the names. Just for example, we type in google.com or yahoo.com or a new website address that we're trying to ping. So right now, let's try to ping 4.2.2.2. Okay, success. Let's try to ping a word. Okay, there we have it. So we can get out of the internet. Right now, let's try. We're done with the firewall. We're done with the router. I mean, let's just save. And then let's try to get into firewall. Okay, as we can see, we have management interfaces here, which is on the switch 5 and switch 4. Management interface for the router is switch 5, for the firewall is switch 4. Okay, so let's try to configure a management interface so that we can connect to the firewall. So let's try to show interface IP brief. Okay, there's no IP addresses configured yet. We'll go to interface, internet 0/2 IP address 192.168.1.42. Okay, I'm gonna make this as fast as possible because we have to be done before 30 minutes time. Okay, my processor is really slow so I can't run any virtual instance anymore. Issue no shutdown. One dot 4. Okay, let's name the interface okay. Then let's define the host that will be doing the management with. We'll be doing the management on HTTP server enabled HTTP 192.168.1.2 management. Okay, okay, I'm right now receiving an error because my memory is a little bit low already. So I guess I won't be saving my work now. So anyway, let's try to continue, and then I'll just back up the configuration. Okay, so I'll just try to run the ASDM so that we can proceed configuring the firewall. Okay, HTTPS 192.168.1.4. As you can see, there's an internet connection because this is my desktop, and then the management interface is this interface, so I can connect to the internet. This computer as well is connected to the internet connection, wireless internet connection, which is shared on the GNS3 application. Okay, I'll just try to run. So we'll just go ahead and configure the basic configuration for the ASA firewall just to connect to the internet. Okay, as you can see, that is the interface that we defined. It's the management interface. So we have ASDM version 6.4. I'm gonna enable logging. Then we're gonna go to the configuration. Then the interfaces. So right now the interfaces are not yet defined. So we'll try to define it one by one according to our network topology. So let's try to define Ethernet 1. Enable interface. Security level 0. This is the one interface, 10.0.4.2/30 subnet. This is the connection facing the router. Okay, 0. Ethernet 0 is connected to the LAN. So let's input security level 100. Okay, 10.0.4. Let's just do a save here. Seems like it's not yet saving. Anyway, let's just continue. Apply the configuration. By the way, my router here, the core switch is running OSPF for the areas of the LANs. So OSPF area 201 for VLAN 20 and 101 for 10. It's a little bit slow. Okay, let's just show an IP interface briefly. Duplicate address. Okay, okay. Let's just input here 4.6. Okay, apply. Okay, just go to routing, then let's define the static route. network any. Gateway IP is the interface of the router. 0.4.1 metric 1. Okay, let's try to ping an outside address. Success rate 0%. Okay, let's do the OSPF process. Right now on the core switch, okay, there's no neighbors yet, as we can see, and an OSPF process is defined here as well. Okay, router OSPF 1, and here are the areas. Let's try to remove the default information originate. Okay, so let's try to ping an IP address outside. Of course, it will not work because the firewall is not yet configured. Let's define an OSPF process. Let's just enable the default information. Okay, let's connect to area 0, 10.0.4.4 is the network. Add, okay, apply. Let's take a look now at our routes. Okay, so as we can see, the routes that are connected are the ones that we defined in the firewall, while the OSPF is the inter areas that are defined on the core switch. So let's configure a distribution for the static route. Okay, show IP route. Okay, static IP for the router R1. Okay, neighbor relationship has been formed, and then the static route has been redistributed here. Okay, via OSPF. So right now let's try to ping okay, it is still not pinging. Okay, let's try to take a look at our desktop. Okay, it's still timing out. It's not configured yet. There's still something missing in the configuration. So static route, redistribution, then the OSPF configuration. Let's just go to the firewall. Okay, NAT rule. Okay, let's just define a rule here. Okay, so this window is important. It's the wizard to configure the port address translation. Okay, we're just gonna have to click enable traffic from PH-LAN to PH-1 interface. Okay, we'll just click on next, then finish. So we just use the wizard so that we can configure the NATing capability of the firewall. Okay, so as you can see, we have a NAT rule now present on the NAT rules entry. So let's try to ping again. Okay, so we can get out of the internet from the firewall. So let's try to ping from the user computer. Okay, it's still timing out. So we had to configure the service policy. We have to turn on the inspection for ICMP and HTTP, then apply. Okay, so right now let's try to ping again from the core switch. Okay, there we have it. It's pinging. So let's try to check the user computer. Okay, it's getting out the internet. So right now let's try to check on the browser. So as you can see now, it has internet access. Earlier it shows an exclamation point icon, which is a sign that it has no internet connectivity. So right now we're good. Let's try to. Okay, browser has been updated. One more thing. Okay, so we're good. We can now ping and we can now browse the internet. So let's do is save the configurations. So as you can see the routes here, the routes that we have, and then the interfaces. Okay, so let's just save the configuration. Save running config to flash. Then we're done here. So there, we now have internet connection. Okay, we're done here. And then on the other video, let's try to configure the failovers on HSRP. Okay,